FA fam, good to be with all of you beautiful, beautiful people. We are already in the double-digit weeks of the NFL season. There's no shortage of news. We have some injuries. We have Dalvin Cook's crazy legal situation. That thing seems like that's an absolute mess. But we're here with y'all. Yeah, that literally might be the first time I've ever said y'all. I don't know where that I don't know how that came out. Must be my being in North Carolina for a month and a half. I'm already starting to say, it felt weird. I didn't like how that felt when that came out. But anyway, chat's already filling up with questions. We appreciate all of you rocking with us. If it's your first time joining us, please hit us with that sub. We'd be very much appreciative of that. My guy Kev rocking with me. Our guy Walito already in the chat, already asking questions. He has a couple here. Kick it off with Walito. Wants to know Russ versus Green Bay or Tanny versus New Orleans.
1,000% Russ.
Yeah. So I felt as well. Tim Patrick or Brian Edwards?
Ooh, scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'd go Brian Edwards, I think.
I'm going to go Tim Patrick. The matchup with Philly wouldn't have scared me to begin with. I don't know what their injury status is for this week, but obviously last week, Slay and Avonte Maddox went out in that game. So if one or both are out, you know what I mean? I think that could be a good matchup for Tim Patrick. And if you guys have not yet seen the running back and receiver show that we did that dropped earlier today, Kev went into a nice little, not a rant, he went into a nice little dialogue about how the Kansas City defense has not been as bad, especially over the past couple of weeks, as a lot of people, are just going to continue to say that, start everybody against the Chiefs, and that has not been the case. Walito, hold on to your money. Wait until you see the buy-sell video, and then you can just make it rain on us. I will leave you with that. That should be dropping at some point tomorrow. We got RC Cola rocking with us. Justin rocking with us as well. Justin does have a question. Fant or Patty Fry full PPR?
I'm going Patty Fry here, especially with the probability of Chase Claypool possibly missing this week. So if Claypool's out, I mean, it's a really, really concentrated target share. And so I think Eric Ebron might be back this week, but that doesn't really bother me. This is Patty Fry's job now.
Yeah, I think Claypool is looking at a multi-week absence. I would be very surprised if he played this week. So fire up Patty Fry here for me as well. And that Denver, Philly has not been great against tight ends, but they still have those three wide receivers, Gordon and Javonte chip in as well. If this were a case where we were looking at, just Sutton, again, I might lean Fant, but this is Patty Fry for me. I also skip this one. Sorry, Walito. Start 2, Evans, Debo, McLaurin, Hollywood. You want to talk about a banged-up offense. You have Tampa that might be with, more than likely going to be without Antonio Brown, might be without Chris Godwin, probably going to be without Gronk. This one's tough. I think I'm going Evans and Hollywood on this one. It's between Debo's last here for me, Evans for sure, and then it's between McLaurin and Hollywood. and I lean Hollywood.
I'm going to go Mike Evans and McLaurin.
Yeah, I like that too. McLaurin and Hollywood are both close for me. I wouldn't mind playing either of those guys, but we're on the same page as Debo is the last of those 4 options. Look at Walito out here. Cup, Evans, Debo, McLaurin, Hollywood. Good for you. Good for you. Devonta Smith, Devonta Freeman, Drake, Dylan, Kirk. Flex and full PPR. Justin is leaning Christian Kirk.
I'm going to go Devontae Smith.
Yep. Not a lot of disagreement to start the night here at all. I'm also going to go Devonta Smith. This matchup against Denver doesn't really bother me. And Kev just got done waxing poetic about Devonta Smith in the buy sell video we just recorded before jumping on here for the live show. But yeah, this is going to be. I don't think that we're going to be able to see Philly just run the ball 40 odd times again the way that they have the past 2 weeks. And like I said, this matchup with Denver, I like the matchup with Devonta Freeman. I like as well, but that's another case where that Miami run D that was getting gashed earlier in the year has tightened things up over the past couple of weeks. So it's not as juicy as it would have been, say, 3-4 weeks ago. So that is Devonta Smith there for me. Justin, one more here. Do you think I should trade away Fournette for Deontay in full PPR? JT, Zeke, Swift, Monty as my RBs.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We are already starting to hit on a lot of the names that we had in our buy sell show. So a peek behind the curtain. Deontay and Devonta Smith were both in that show for Kev. Zapita, Eno or Gibby?
This is Antonio Gibson for me. We talked about him in the show, the running back show that we had. So I like Antonio Gibson this week against Tampa Bay. I know on paper, I guess if you haven't watched, Tampa Bay is kind of another one of those defenses where it's just really easy to say, oh, well, the run defense is really good. We don't want to play running backs against them. And that just hasn't really been the case. While they are 6th in fantasy points per game, the last 4 weeks, they've allowed 131 rushing yards per game, which is 9th most. And they've allowed over 100 yards 3 straight games. So this Tampa Bay defense isn't the defense that it once was, at least run defense, and Ndamukong Suh, he could possibly miss this week as well. So I like Antonio Gibson in a big bounce back spot this week. And so, it's Antonio Gibson for me because I think Eno is probably – I like Eno Benjamin as like a flex option, but I think he's probably going to get 8 to 10 touches where I think Antonio Gibson probably gets 15 to 18, somewhere in that range. So.
Gibby for me as well. Noel wants to know Tanny or Hurts.
This is going to be Jalen Hurts for me.
Yep. Jalen Hurts for me as well. It's just his floor I feel like is just is safer than what Tannehill's is, and I don't know what to expect out of that matchup. I know New Orleans defense was really strong to begin the year. Then they started to falter a little bit. Like if they can get some drives going to get that defense, some rest, they're not on the field all the time. I think that would be a big help. But I mean, you're looking at a guy who, let's see, 4 games this year that he does not have at least 60 rushing yards. And with that, you're looking at a touchdown in normal scoring leagues. With that on the ground. So I'm going to go Hurts there as well. Wayne has a question in a standard: Waddle or Singletary if Moss is out? Even if Moss is out, this is still a Waddle for me. Easily.
I don't know. I mean, so you take away the PPR upside of it. I would probably go
that Baltimore secondary can be had. I think they're banged up as well. I think they just lost Deshaun Elliott on the backside of that defense. I think he's out for the season. I'm just and the Ravens do give up bigger plays as well. I don't know what it is after last week, but going into week 9, I think they had given up like the fifth most receiving plays of 20 plus yards. And, they're not using Waddle in an air yard type of way, but he can still rip off those big chunk plays. Kev, you were talking about Waddle again as a buy in the video we just recorded. And I think you said he's 11th in yards after catch. So with as many targets as he's going to see, like the PPR upside does hurt, but I don't know. I'm not really all that interested in the rushing attack for Buffalo.
I think in a standard with Moss out, I would go Devin Singletary.
Okay. Crip rocking with us once again. Patty Fry or Schultz? Obviously, we're not going to tell him to pick up Fant because we were starting Patty Fry over Fant. Would you start Schultz over Patty Fry? Going up against the Falcons. I'm going Patty Fry. That matchup against Detroit, Claypool going to be out. You're looking at Deontay, Ray McLeod, and James Washington. Give me Patty Fry.
Yeah, I probably would too. It is crazy because, Dalton Schultz ran 93% of the snaps last week with Blake Jarwin out. And
on IR.
Yeah. And, he ran 37 routes, which is the most he's run all year, 5 targets. But it's hard to – but, the chances that Michael Gallup could be back this week and, the other wide receivers in this offense, I probably go Pat Freiermuth.
Let's go. No one wants to know, do we think AB will be back next week? Bunch of guys on bye. Only other option is Jacoby Myers, who plays on the Thursday game. Should I try and trade Jacoby for someone who plays Sunday? So AB is out of the walking boot, which is obviously good news because literally like a day ago, we got the news that he was still in the walking boot, which if he was going to be out of it that soon, why not mention that? Because I took AB completely out of my rankings. I was like, oh, he's still in the walking boot, so now I'm going to have to add him back in. But it seems like obviously that's a step in the right direction. I would think that he would be back. I don't think they rush him back this week. I would think that he would.
Yeah, if he's that close, I would say he may be out this week, maybe to be play it safe, but I would say it sounds pretty likely that he'd be back next week.
And Jacoby Myers is a fine option. I don't know what kind of trade value that he's going to give you that you're going to be able to plug someone and you're going to feel better about anyway. So if AB happens to be out for whatever reason, I think Jacoby is in a fine spot. And I think I can't remember. I think he has a solid matchup as well. I know Noel dropped a comment in our on one of our YouTube videos asking about it. And I think Jacoby has a solid matchup, so not going to worry about
for next week.
Yeah,
they play the Falcons.
Yeah, yep. So even if AB, like I said, even if AB isn't back, I think you're fine with Jacoby. Not sure what he's going to fetch you in the trade market. Hurts or Carr?
This is going to be Jalen Hurts.
It's going to be Hurts for me as well. These divisional games just tend to – the over-under right now sitting at 52. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if that gets bet down a little bit. Like, Derek Carr is so up and down. He's such a roller coaster ride. I think we could see Waller do his thing, but that KC defense has been playing better all around, in the past couple of weeks. So that is Hurts for me as well. Kanoa, let's go. Haven't seen Kanoa around here. This is our supporter from the islands, right? From Hawaii, I believe. Ho. That made me happy. Good to see Kanoa built back in here. Pick one running back, one flex. Javonte, Darrell Williams, Carson, Ty Johnson, Patty Fry. PPR.
Well, so we're going to monitor with Darrell Williams because Clyde Edwards-Helaire returned to practice today. And so, which is, especially on a Wednesday, I mean, usually, you might bring him back. So he's already been designated to return. And so I don't think he plays this week. But if he does, I'm not playing Darrell Williams. But if Darrell Williams doesn't, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I don't think they bring Clyde Edwards-Helaire back this week. I can see him practicing this week, and then with the thought of him returning next week against Dallas, I believe is who they play next week. So I would go Darrell Williams with the thought process that that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out, and then my flex I would go Javonte. Well, I guess I should clarify that. If Chris, I guess Chris Carson as well. I should, because Chris Carson was also back at practice today, and so if he plays this week, then I would probably go Darrell Williams, Chris Carson. So, but if Clyde Edwards-Helaire returns, and Chris Carson doesn't, I would go Javonte. I think I would still go Darrell Williams because I think he would still get opportunities. He's still going to get opportunities even when he comes back. Whenever Clyde Edwards-Helaire comes back. So I think that's probably the way I would go with this.
So even if Clyde comes back, you're still going to go Darrell Williams over Patty Fry? And the flex?
Oh, sorry. Did not. Okay, so.
Start from the top.
All right.
If Chris Carson plays.
If Chris Carson plays, it's Darrell Williams, Chris Carson. Okay? If CEH plays, then I would remove Darrell Williams, and I would keep Chris Carson, and I would go Patty Fry at that situation.
Okay. So no love for Javonte here then, in those scenarios.
No.
Okay.
But if, like I said, if CH comes back and Carson comes back, then I would go Javonte and probably Patty Fry.
There we go. Get all the bases.
I know. I don't think there's anything else I can think of at this point that I could give you.
What if Michael? Look at this Blue Crew back with us as well. This is a nice little gathering of the OGs from last year who were with us on damn near every stream. Good to see Blue Crew in here as well. 12-team PPR Super Flex 2 QB league. I feel like I need to roster at least three QBs at all times in a league. Which QBs are worth gold? Do you agree? I think it depends on who your third is, and at this point of the season, your bye week situations, right? Like if your third QB is, I don't know, whoever's sitting at the bottom of the barrel, whoever you think is the worst. Right, like the worst of the starting 32 quarterbacks. And your two studs have both gotten past their bye week. I might look to drop that third quarterback. You know what I mean? But if like they're all kind of like say you went like a stud and dud approach, where you drafted one guy in, let's say, the top 2-3 rounds and got like a couple middling guys, then in that case, I probably am keeping all three. That's kind of how I would think about that.
I mean, I think it's smart to probably roster 3 because if something were to happen to one of them,
Right.
Yeah.
Then I think it also depends on if you're looking around your league and if you see that like backup quarterbacks are rostered, then yes, I'm holding on all three. Because if one of those guys goes down, Zach Wilson goes down and someone for whatever reason already had Mike White, then like and it's a 14, 16 team league, that makes a difference as well. So I think league size, bye week, and then like the level of your quarterbacks all kind of play into that. But yeah, holding three is definitely not a bad idea. Dustin Brah. 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers, a flex. Want to start Woods, Keenan Allen, Pitts, a tight end, but feeling Kittle over Amari Cooper and flex after that comeback performance. Full PPR. Whew.
I don't think I can sit Amari going against Atlanta, to be honest.
Would you put Kittle over Pitts then, or are you keeping Pitts? On the other side of that matchup, that Dallas-Atlanta matchup, and then Kittle getting the Rams.
That one's really close.
Would you think about sitting Woods, putting Cooper and Allen, and then flexing Kittle over Cooper?
Yeah, I don't actually hate that. Going Amari, Keenan Allen,
Pitts and Kittle.
Yeah. Because, Kyle Pitts is basically a wide receiver now. That's the way they're using him. And so I don't view him as the same way as you typically would a tight end. So, yeah, I think I like doing that better. I think there's more upside to that.
Does this one for Brian basically come down to whether or not Clyde plays?
Yes, because I have
Gibson
Darrell Williams slightly ahead of Antonio Gibson. So I would go Darrell Williams in the event, that as long as Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't play.
Are you all in on Gibson this week the way that you were CMC last week, Kev?
I'm going to have some for sure.
Not to that extent.
No.
Of CMC last week. Alejandro rocking with us. Diggs, Cup, Lamb, Evans, Ayuk, Devonta Smith. Should I drop someone for Landry, Myers, or Marvin Jones? I mean, really the only one that's even in discussion is Ayuk, right? So are you dropping Ayuk for Landry, Myers, or Jones?
Nope.
Our ma'am, Tam. If no Chubb, who would you play? Williams, Ernest, McKissick, or AP?
If Chubb is out, I would go Dearness Johnson.
If Chubb is out, I'm going to go Darrell Williams.
I just don't see how he doesn't get 20-plus touches. I mean, he's going to be involved in the passing game. We saw it, whatever. Chubb was out before and Kareem Hunt was out. They have nobody else there. I mean, they're bringing in guys from the street, putting them on their practice squad. I just don't see how he doesn't see just a massive amount of touches. And so, yeah, where I could see Darrell Williams. I mean, there's games where Andy Reid does some weird shit, and he only touches the ball 10 times, and so I just think Dearness Johnson would be much safer. I'd have to go Dearness.
I just feel like with New England, we know what they do. Like, it's almost like a cliche at this point. You want to talk about things that just get repeated over and over. New England is going to, on defense, work to take out your best asset, right? And Cleveland's best asset is their running game. So I just think that even if it is Dearness Johnson, especially because we saw him do what he did against Denver, I like, he's not going to be catching teams off by surprise at this point. You know what I mean? So I think they're going to be really focusing in on the running game, no matter who it is at running back. I just feel like Darrell Williams might be in that matchup. You want to talk about a team that's kind of flipped from the beginning of the year. The Raiders, who were looking pretty strong against running backs, have I think Booker last week, right, just had himself a pretty nice day against that Raiders defense. So that is why I would lean Darrell Williams here. But I guess if, for whatever reason, if Clyde were back this week, then I would go Dearness. But if Clyde's not back, I'm still going to rock with Williams. So we kind of mentioned this at the top, this crazy shit going on with Dalvin and the domestic violence. And then apparently, he was the victim of domestic violence as well. Like, it's it's a lot to try and parse through. With all that going on, would you try to sell Cook?
No, because I don't think they've already said that they're not going to do anything to him. Nothing's going to happen. I mean, it's just like the Deshaun Watson situation. Until there's something that comes down or something happens, they're not going to do anything about this. And so there's no reason to sell Dalvin Cook because he's going to play the rest of the year for the Vikings. I mean, unless something just egregious comes out, like, hit some video of him like beating the woman or something like that. Like that's the only way that you'd have anything to worry about. And so Dalvin Cook isn't going anywhere. Dalvin Cook is playing the rest of the year, barring injury. So, yeah, we're not selling Dalvin Cook whatsoever. Because, like I said, he's not going anywhere.
If you were getting, let's just say that, not a sell low or just sell for whatever. If you were getting, whatever fair value is that something you would look to do if, like, you were getting, like, what Dalvin should cost, or are you still just holding on to him regardless?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're getting like someone's blowing you away with an offer, because that's what's going to have to take. I mean, we don't want to trade Dalvin Cook because of his incredible upside, which we kind of saw what it was last week, where he kind of had a big game, kind of trailed off after really getting going early in that game. But regardless of that, Dalvin Cook, I mean, has one of the rare ceilings that a lot of running backs you just don't possess. So I'm not letting go of him easily. But if someone wants to blow me away with an offer, sure, everybody's available.
Uzi is wondering if they should trade away CMC with this team that you see up on the screen. So CMC, Henderson, Carter Williams, Terry D. Hop, Waddle, Callaway, Khalif Raymond, DPJ, Gronk, Patty Fry. Would you try and trade? I wouldn't do it for an RB2 wide receiver 2. I like with CMC, I still want like a back half RB1 and then like a back half wide receiver 1 as well, because that's basically the kind of points that you're getting from him. So like I'm not going to be selling for RB2s and wide receiver 2s. Would you consider trading CMC with the way this team is? Because obviously after Henderson, you have a fall off at running back. And then, D-Hop has been disappointing. Terry has been up and down. Waddle we like, but he's not going to be someone to carry your team. And then after that, the wide receivers fall off as well. So is this a scenario where you look to trade CMC?
No. And so here's the thing that I think we end up getting in trouble with in terms of fantasy football is we always go to that top, right? We always go to like, oh, let me trade my best player, right? Well, I don't think you need to do that. It's the same thing. Like, we don't have to go after an elite player, right? Like, because I think whenever we go through and we want to make a trade, right? Like, okay, I want to go, I want to go get Jonathan Taylor. I want to go get Jamar Chase. Like, no, don't go get those guys. Like, go get, like, look ahead and kind of start looking at schedules and stuff like that and where you stand, Uzi. Like, if you're in a good spot right now, and you are, I don't know, 6-3 or whatever, and you're, kind of solid into the playoffs. Start looking at stuff like that. Start looking at, weeks 15, 16, 17 when the fantasy playoffs are, which is kind of what we hit in the buy sell. But, go after guys like, try to acquire Devonta Smith. Try to acquire Jerry Jeudy. Try to acquire Javonte Williams. Acquire players that aren't going to cost nearly as much that you don't have to gut your team, because you trading CMC is not really going to help you. Like, because one, he's coming off a down week. I mean, he only scored 14 last week, which is, considering, one of the lowest. Okay, he says, I'm 3-6, lost 4 games by 2.5 points or less. Some of it's just bad luck. Getting CMC back is going to put you back in the right spot. You're not going to be able to replace Christian McCaffrey and what he brings to the table. Yes, it wasn't the best game we've seen from Christian McCaffrey, but he still scored 14, and we would say it's probably one of the worst games he's played in a very long time. That he didn't leave because of injury.
Still had 19 opportunities as well.
Yeah, and so this is only going to get better. And actually, I think PJ Walker starting here in this game could actually be a good thing.
Can't get worse.
Yeah, and so he's going to check down a lot, and that's great for CMC. And so you trade him, sure, but he's just not at the level of value that he should bring. And I'm not trading a guy with his type of ceiling on a weekly basis. And so right now, just looking at your team, like, I don't think it's terrible. Like, I don't think it's that bad. Like, I would maybe, quarterback, is Justin Fields sitting out there? Is he available? Because, I mean, he's had 2 QB1 weeks in a row. That offense looks to be a lot better than what it was. And so, if he would be sitting out there, especially on bye, people are going to be rushing to add him. But he's starting to, look more comfortable on that offense. He's running more. And so I like Justin Fields as on a, moving forward basis. You can drop Tua. There's no reason you to have him. He's hurt. I have Justin Fields in my taxi spot. So is this dynasty?
That would seem like dynasty. Yeah.
If it is, then this would I guess change the way that
change everything.
Yeah. Some handy information to have.
Yeah, there wouldn't really be a point to having a taxi for redraft, right?
Not that I've seen. I mean, I don't see. I don't ever heard
keeper. Are there taxis in keeper? I've literally never played a keeper league.
So he's saying, yeah. I'm just saying, yeah, it's dynasty.
Oh boy, this changes everything. Then yes, I'm probably trading away.
It's a keeper league.
Okay. All right, so Kev, I'm glad I didn't go on my diatribe. You're the keeper guy.
I want to keep. I mean, I want to keep CMC. I want to keep. Okay. So somebody like that, because that's going to be huge for you next year. I mean, unless somebody can blow you away, but that's my point. Is right now his value is not. Now, if it's different, if he's coming off a 35-point performance, then yeah, I guess you could do that if you absolutely wanted to. If you could get like a Najee Harris, plus it's not just Najee Harris or Jonathan Taylor, somebody like that you can kind of supplant, with Christian McCaffrey, who I think has a little bit longer ceiling to go, and so you could do something like that. But overall, like, I think you're 3-6, and so with this being a keeper, that's not as important with some of these guys. I still think you're fine. Getting Christian McCaffrey back is huge. I would assume then I would drop with it being a keeper. I'm assuming how many people can you keep? That's also another question I have. Like, how many keepers is it? Because that's a handy information to have too. Because I don't know how many people you're going to be able to keep. Because honestly, I would just drop Tua. And honestly, probably just drop Cousins. If we're not keeping, so you can only keep 2. Yeah. So, I mean, you could drop Cousins and Tua after this week and just run Justin Fields. And so, and for next year, at the very least, you're keeping CMC if you keep CMC. And then I think from there, you have somebody like, you're probably keeping, probably Terry McLaurin is what I would look at right now. But yeah, I mean, after this week, drop. I mean, you can already drop Tua. You don't need to hold him. And then I think you start Cousins this week, and then after this week, you either drop Cousins or include him in a trade or whatever. But like I said, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to try to make smaller trades, smaller incremental trades to get players that I feel like that can help you now, but also help you moving forward. Not trading the top guy that doesn't have the same value that he should.
What about selling high on Patty Fry? Is that one of those a smaller trade you would potentially look to make, and then just stream?
Yeah, I think you could. Depending on what if you get like a Javante for him or something like that. I think you could do that, especially for a team that doesn't have a tight end.
2 here for Tam: Bobby Trees, Judy Pittman, Mike Williams.
Definitely Pittman. I think we both have him in the top 10 this week. I have him at 7.
Yeah, I think I have him at 11.
And then,
man,
I'm going to go Mike Williams.
Yeah, that bounce back is coming for Mike Will. Oh, jeez. Brian, appreciate the kind words. Happy holidays to you. The expert thing always makes me feel a little yucky. I prefer degenerate, because I don't think there is such a thing as a fantasy expert, to be quite honest. There's way too much craziness and luck and bullshit that goes into it. But appreciate the kind words, Brian. Thank you for always rocking with us. Mr. Wong, is Carter and Renfro worth stacking this week versus KC? I'd assume this would be a DFS question.
No, because they're not on the main slate. So I mean, you're just playing them on.
Right.
I think you could, just depending on what other options you had. I mean, I don't think Carter's a terrible play, and I don't think Renfro is a terrible play. Like I have Renfro like 30, I think, this week among wide receivers in my rankings, and I have Derek Carr, I think, at 13, I believe. And so, like, I don't think either one of them are bad plays, and I think Renfro, playing in the slot, it is going to see his fair share of targets. I think he only has one game this year under double-digit fantasy points, so he's been pretty consistent on the year. I just want people to tether their expectations, because one thing I'm also very interested in on the other side is how the Raiders, because Gus Bradley is very one single high safety, like, and that is it would if he it's gonna be interesting to see if he sticks with that or not. Because if he sticks with that, the Chiefs are gonna just, because that's where the Chiefs thrive, is in those opportunities, because then they're just going to hit Tyreek Hill deep, do all the stuff. It's going to be interesting if he's actually going to switch up and go to more too high safety, which is what all these other defenses have been trying to do to the Chiefs this year, to take away that deep threat. But that's not Gus Bradley's MO. Gus Bradley only wants to do single high safety. So that's going to be one interesting fact of that game too, to see how that works out. But yeah, I mean, if you had to play Carr, I don't hate it either. I think both of them are fine.
Rookie mistake. Christian is stuck at who to start at the flex: Ayuk, Howard, or Kenyon Drake in a full PPR. Drake did have 8 targets, 6 catches, 70 yards in that game last week. Who do you like here out of this trio?
I'm going Brandon Ayuk. Let the good times roll. They're going to have to score points against the Rams, and I like Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ayuk there as well. The Queek: trade Pittman and Eli for Diggs and Damian Harris. My wide receivers are Chase, Pittman, Lockett, Woods. RBs: CPAT, Connor, Edmonds, Mitchell, Gordon.
No.
I think you are downgrading at running back. And that seems to be your the weak point here. Kevin and I both Kevin and I both like Damian Harris as a sell, actually, and not as a buy. Obviously, in theory, upgrading from Pittman to Diggs, but Diggs has not been the guy that we saw last year, despite still seeing a really solid amount of volume. But they're kind of getting that too high safety treatment that KC is getting. It's just not really allowing Diggs to do what he did last year. So I would not do that. I prefer keeping the Pittman and Eli side. Thomas has Mixon on bye this week. Stream Devonta Freeman or wait for the news on the Pats running backs and go for Stevenson or Bolden. Anyone else I could go for?
Is this Corson?
I'm fine with what?
Is this Corson? Tom?
No, it's not. I thought it was last week, and then Tom joined us on the stream, and I was like, oh, that wasn't that wasn't his question.
Well, I saw the other favorite player props for tomorrow night, so that's why I thought it was, but
maybe it is. No. Anyway, let's assume that it's not Corson.
See if it was, I would just tell him the wrong.
I think you're fine going with Devonta because any of the other options you might be looking to pick up are probably in the same range. Like I don't think there's anyone you're going to go out there and pick up that is going to be well over Devonta.
Yeah, I'd probably go Freeman. I mean, unless Damian Harris got ruled out and Ramondre Stevenson played, then no, I'm not who you're talking about.
Yeah, because that happened the last week or the week before. I thought it was Tom, and it wasn't.
Well, apparently there could be more than one Toms out there. Okay, that like player props. Anyways, so if Damian Harris got ruled out and Stevenson played, I would go Ramondre Stevenson. I think, but
we're not going to know that by tomorrow.
Yeah, then I would go Devonta.
Yeah, I'm fine with Devonta. Landry or Sanders?
This is where we're at. But
this is where we're at. I'm going Jarvis here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Jarvis too.
And we just haven't really seen the games out of Manning recently. Again, is that the too high thing? I think this week is a Cole Beasley week. If he is available on waivers, I would actually probably start Beasley. Ashton, if Cole Beasley is available, if this is like a 10-team league or something like that, I would go Beasley over both of these guys. All right. Are we doing anything differently with Alejandro's team here? Allen, Henderson, Carter, Justin Jefferson, Beasley, Kelsey, Landry on the bench, Pollard, McKissick, Collins, Ayuk, Van, Jeff, Carson, and then a couple of waiver options there as well.
If Carson plays, I'm playing him over Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Would
you go Ayuk over Landry? That's probably the only move that I would probably make here.
I actually think I would go Ayuk over Cole Beasley.
Beasley over Landry for me. And then Ayuk over Landry.
And assuming that if Chris Carson comes back this week with Alex Collins, I'm assuming that's Alex Collins. I think I would drop Alex Collins for A.J. Dillon.
Just for the higher upside?
Yeah, because if something happened to Aaron Jones, his ceiling is so incredibly high. And so I want A.J. Dillon any way that I can get him, because I think he's kind of one of those guys that once we're getting to the point where we're at in the fantasy calendar, where we're 4 or 5 weeks away from the fantasy playoffs. Like, this is the time to start securing those guys that could be league winners. If something happened to Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon is automatically, it could be a league winner. He's a top 10 running back if Aaron Jones was out.
Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz for me as well. And Christian said Gage, Bolden, Mike Davis on the waivers. And this is back to the flex question. You're not starting any of those guys over Ayuk, correct?
No.
Look at this guy.
TN, the GOAT, OG. We want to talk about OGs. He is the OG of the TFA YouTube.
The OG. This guy. One running back, one flex, half PPR here for TN.
So this is going to be another one of those, if this happens thing. Because if Nick Chubb plays, it's you're playing Nick Chubb, which I don't think you probably already know that. If Nick Chubb does not clear the COVID protocol,
then he doesn't have a choice.
I would go Devin Singletary.
He doesn't have a choice.
Oh, he doesn't have another running back. Yeah. I was trying to see if there was another. Yeah, you're right. And then at flex, again, if Antonio Brown plays this weekend, I'm going AB. If he doesn't, I'm going to go Dallas Goedert here.
I agree. If Chubb plays, you're not flexing. If Chubb plays and Moss is out, you're not flexing Singletary over Goddard, are you?
No, not here. No.
Okay. TN, really appreciate you. The GOAT, the OG. You deserve the best in life, TN. Let's see. Going through Uzi's live commentary here. Ashton is 8-1-12 team league. Hurts, Saquon, Clyde, Tyreek, Kupp, Andrews, Ayuk, Landry. Did I already say Kirk? Chenault, Edwards, Gainwell, A.J. Dillon, Herbert, and Hyde. Should I trade Tyreek for a downgraded wide receiver and get a running back? So again, Saquon, Clyde, Gainwell, A.J. Dillon, Herbert, and Hyde. Herbert can be dropped, I think, with what we saw out of Montgomery last week. Hyde can be dropped with James Robinson coming back.
I don't think I would drop Khalil Herbert. Because he's kind of that same vein. Like, if he's a handcuff to own now. Like, because we've seen what he's been able to do whenever somebody's out. And so if David Montgomery were to get hurt, I think. What?
No. I was just going to say, hold Herbert. You can drop Gainwell and Hyde.
Yeah, that's the guy I would drop. Yes. If you're going to drop somebody, drop Gainwell. But again, like, I feel like if you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul on this one. If you move Tyreek and you get a running back, cool. You still have Cooper Kupp, obviously. Not even a question, the best wide receiver in the league this year. And you still have Ayuk and Landry and Kirk but like, it's a big drop off in terms of that. And so again, this brings me back to try to make smaller moves. Like, try to move somebody like Brandon Ayuk and pair him with somebody else for, or if you want to move Herbert, figure out who has David Montgomery and or whatever, and try to work a trade that like smaller pieces that I think that would be easier to acquire. Because here, like again, you're trading Tyreek, cool, but you are just kind of creating a bigger issue. And you're 8-1, so why are we trying to do that at that point? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
What is the? I know you just said you went through all that, but like, where would be like the cutoff point of like downgrading at wide receiver and still getting it a running back that you would like potentially think about doing that, like going down to like a Pittman? Would you go all the way down to a Pittman to get a running back? Maybe somebody like a Darrell Henderson, something in that kind of area.
Yeah, if you could get something like that, sure, I would do that. I think that's fair to do something like that. It's just
what about down to a Jerry Jeudy?
Jerry Jeudy and like a Darrell Henderson?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Okay. So somewhere around that Pittman Henderson range is what you would need in order to think about doing it.
Yeah, or DeAndre Swift, I think could be an option, or guys like that. But yeah.
Compa Benny, Amari, Mike Will, McLaurin, Waddle. Which do I sit in week 10?
I think we're going to be split here, but I'm going to go Amari, Mike Williams, McLaurin.
No, I'm with you. Sit Waddle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who did you think I was going to sit?
Oh, I thought you were going to sit Mike Williams for Waddle.
Nah. Nope. It's like, man, who's he going to say?
It's just tough. He has not been the same guy.
No, he hasn't.
But this is a good matchup against Minnesota.
Yes. The Wolfpack. This is the NWO, the red and black Wolfpack. Who's that? Sting. Dude, were you a wrestling guy, Kev, back in the day?
Yeah, like during like the late 90s, early 2000s, like yeah, basically like when like the wrestling wars were going on, and it was WCW and WWF at the time, I guess. Yeah. The Attitude Era. Yeah, during that part, yeah.
Dude, whenever Sting went to the red and black NWO, that was like, I remember just being like, oh my God, he's I remember losing my mind as a kid watching that happen. He was my favorite. Sorry, we didn't even answer TX's question. Devonta Smith or Ayuk?
Devonta Smith.
Okay. Thought we were going to disagree. Thought you were going to go Ayuk. Thought you were going to double down. Devonta Smith for me. Clap nuts. Would you trade Swift and Cooks for Patterson and McLaurin?
Surprised Walito hasn't been like, no, immediately.
It has to be down there.
I'm going to say no. But it's actually, which is one of the hard, I think the hardest player for me this year to like completely like put away whatever, I don't want to say bias, but thoughts I would have had on a player prior to this year of Cordero Patterson. It's been like, he has been so hard for me to like just accept who he is right now and like what he's been doing, because I'm like it's Cordero Patterson. He's never done anything in the NFL. Like, I mean, he's had some flashes, but like for the most part, like he's just never been anything. But he's been like the hardest player I've had to like force myself to like remove that whatever thought process I had, especially because like early in the year I was like, oh no, this is not going to maintain itself. He's going to fall off.
Yeah, we were dumping on CPAT.
Yeah, and like clearly that's not going to happen. So like, but it's one of the hardest things to do, like when doing this, is like removing whatever priors you have on a player.
Especially a dude who has 8 years of sample size. Like we're not talking about like a second, third year guy.
Yeah, and so like Patterson is not like Patterson is like a borderline RB1. Like, like because he's so involved in the passing game. He's not as involved in the on the ground, but that really doesn't worry me. The high leverage touches, especially in a full PPR, is those targets, and so he's got to continue to get that. You have all these guys that are out for this offense, and so I don't want to. It's tough with him, So this is a lot closer than it should be, but I like Swift more.
Yeah, you put it perfectly there. So we move on to Zach's question: who should I trade Zeke for? I do not like having three guys on the same team. Has Dak and CeeDee Lamb.
Jonathan Taylor would be one I would go after. Najee Harris would be a guy I would go after. I think Austin Eckler actually is kind of a sneaky buy low because he hasn't been as producing as much as we typically see from him. So I think all three of those running backs I think are very viable options.
Would you bump down to a Mixon tier, or are you looking to kind of stay level with Zeke? Or are you not looking to kind of take a step down?
I still think you could. Yeah, I mean, if you can get a bigger package, and package a few players together to do that, I think you could. I think that's fine. Kind of you talk about with Darrell Henderson or something like that. That kind of the same range. Yeah, I think you could do that.
Yeah, plenty of options there, Zach. I would just put that's the case where I would put it up, and hopefully you have like a league chat or something that notifies people of like trade bait. Put Zeke up there and let us know what kind of nibbles you get on that trade bait. We got Last Fish in the Pond, who is still surviving out on Twitch for us as well. Down to 21 entries. Thoughts on Pittsburgh? Still have Buffalo, Arizona, Tampa Bay, Dallas, Green Bay, Baltimore, and Tennessee. The spread with Pittsburgh makes me nervous, but I do think they win. I don't know if I don't know if I would bet the spread. I think it's 9.5. But I think that they are I think they are a safe bet to win, not to cover the spread, but to win. So if this is one of those survivor leagues where you have to do like the spreads as well, I don't know that I would go Pittsburgh. But if this is just straight up, I think Pittsburgh is a good call. Like I would like to hold on.
I would like to save some of these other options that you have, right? Instead of dipping into these, because the fact that you've made it here and you still have all these teams still on the board, you're in pretty good shape. And so Pittsburgh, Detroit. I mean, don't get me wrong, anything could happen with Pittsburgh, but I think I would still go Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, I don't think Tennessee makes me more nervous than Pittsburgh does going up against the Saints.
Yeah.
Thomas, the only two that I have right now, I need to do a little bit more digging on Lamar Jackson's rushing yards, but the only two that I have right now are Marquise Brown over his receiving yards, Mike Gesicki over his receptions, and I'll probably end up on Waddle over his yards as well. I might go. His receptions are only at 5.5. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do his receptions or his yards. His yards are in the 60s, I think, but his receptions at 5.5. We've seen the game where with Brissett he had 12 catches or whatever it was for 50 yards or 8, whatever ended up being 12 targets and only ended up with 50 yards. So I think the catches might be a little safer. But like we talked about earlier with Baltimore, they have given up 4th, 5th, 6th most catches of 20-plus yards in the league. So those are the ones right now that I like. Marquise Brown over his receiving yards, Mike Gesicki over his receptions, and I still need to take a look at Lamar Jackson's rushing yards, but that's where I am sitting. Shawana Man over on Twitch traded CPAT, Henderson, and Waddle, got McCaffrey and Evans
Oh, I mean, it is a lot to get. I mean, it is a decent amount, but I like that a lot. I mean, Christian McCaffrey,
Yeah.
like I said, yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you're arguably getting the two best players. It is a lot to give up, but I mean, well done. I love that trade.
We already answered that one.
Yep. The dribble god. Jamar's on a bye. Who do I flex this week? Bateman or Devonta Freeman?
I'm gonna go Bateman.
Yeah, I'm going Bateman as well. I still think the Miami Dolphins secondary is suspect, but their run D has been playing better. I do like Bateman there. Andrew coming through. Yes, Kev. Happy early Veterans Day, buddy. Should I do this trade? PPR, send Patty Fry and Tampa Bay's D to get Gronk and Elijah Moore. Andrew, is Patty Fry your starting tight end, or is this for?
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be back. I mean, Gronk is supposed to be back. Like, it sounds like he's getting closer to returning.
Yeah.
But there's just no rush for them to bring him back. Like any earlier than he has to be.
Right.
And so I mean, this could go on even longer. I mean, I just don't want to get rid of Patty Fry, and I like Elijah Moore, but I feel like how does everything play out once Mike Wright's not the starting quarterback? Because Zach Wilson could be back here in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, there is still Corey Davis when he comes back, and so that could affect him as well. I would just rather keep Patty Fry. I mean, the defense, I don't really care. That doesn't matter to me. But and so for me, I would just rather keep Patty Fry from a season-long perspective. And also, I appreciate the Happy Veterans Day. And if there are any veterans in here, Happy Veterans Day to you. And if you know anybody that is a veteran, call them up tomorrow, or send them a text. Let them know. Because a lot of veterans do a really good job of hiding, things that they may be going through in life that they don't let out into the world. And so sometimes it's good to reach out to them and let people know that you care. Because I actually have somebody, not to get too personal, but I actually have somebody that I know that I went to high school with. He was in the Army and suffered from PTSD, but he always tried to hide it, and he actually killed himself about a couple of weeks ago. And so you just never know what people are going through. And so not trying to, I know, I try not to, talk about all this stuff too much because, we're here to talk about football, and football is an escape. But tomorrow is Veterans Day. Reach out to somebody, family, friend, whomever. Just let them know, hey, I appreciate it. We're gonna say, oh, don't worry about it, thanks. Let it slide off. But it does make you feel, it does make you feel good. So, anyways, back to football.
And we have had a handful of veterans come through the TFA ranks, if you will. Tom Corson, veteran. Kent Wyrock, who used to contribute here. CJ, obviously, as well. Is that it? I feel like I always forget somebody. Kent,
no, I think
CJ,
that's about right.
you, right. Tom. Yeah, so
Wyrock.
Appreciate you and your service, Kev. Like I said, back to football. Kelvion traded Ayuk for Tyler Boyd and Clyde. Kev, you talked about Ayuk as a. I don't think you mentioned Ayuk as a buy, but you are back on the Ayuk wagon. You were on him last week. How do you feel about this trade with you being the KC guy?
I mean, I think getting Boyd and CH, I think that's a win. And so I like that. I love Brandon Ayuk. I do. I think Brandon Ayuk bounces back in a big, or not bounces back, but I think he's bouncing back. But being able to move him for Tyler Boyd and CH, I think CH is kind of the winner part of this year. And then Tyler Boyd, I think, is nice. Just kind of, so I think he's still kind of that, a decent flex option on 1 weeks that game script is going to be in their favor. So I like that.
Or if one of the other receivers go down as well. Thoughts on this trade? Godwin for Keenan in a PPR. What side do you like?
I want the Keenan side. But it's easier to say now that I know that Chris Godwin has a foot injury. If all things were equal and he was healthy, I probably would go Chris Godwin. But it would be really close. I think both these guys are really close to each other.
Yeah, they're close. The fewer mouths to feed cliche. I lean Keenan. It is close, but I like the Keenan side as well. Who do we like here for RC, Ronald, Kala, Kirk, Bateman, Landry, half PPR? I slightly lean Landry only because I think Watkins should be back this week, and I'm not sure how often Baltimore's going to have to throw in this game.
It's actually really close for me. I actually have Jarvis Landry one spot ahead of Rashad Bateman. So this week I have Landry at 31 and I have Bateman at 32. So I don't think you can really go long with either one of these guys, but I just think that Landry probably sees a little more of a target share, and Sammy Watkins is back practicing. So I'm not exactly sure how that's the one thing we don't know is how things are going to play out. I still think that Bateman is going to be probably number 2 in targets, among the wide receivers. But Landry's the number 1. And so I just slightly lean towards Landry.
Ayuk or Landry for Santiago?
I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk on this one.
Ayuk there for me. Aquaman, back at it. Need one in the flex. Judy, Devonta Smith, Patty Fry. Aqua praying for Tua. The left arm of God does not need your prayers.
Yeah. I'm going to go Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy for me as well. I thought you were going to go Devonta Smith there. I like Jeudy in that spot. Emi, 2 wide receivers and a flex. Bobby Trees, Terry McLaurin, Bateman, Ayuk, Williams, Patty Fry, Alex Collins. Start with the receivers first. Who do we like?
McLaurin, Woods. Flex. I'm going Darrell Williams. As long as CEH is not in. If CEH is out, then I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk.
I like it. Appreciate that. That's what we're out here trying to do, is trying to grind through the season. But I will say this year has gone better for me. And years past, like week 7, week 8, I'm just like, oh my God. But like this year is like really like flying through, and I haven't hit that content wall just yet. So we appreciate all of you. If you are new to the channel, or if you came back and you're not sub yet, please hit us with a sub. We've actually lost a couple over the past couple of days, Kev. If I'm not sure if you have noticed or not, but we like to get that count back up. We appreciate all of you. Squidge Giant Chode back here on Twitch. Half PPR. Who do I start? Bateman, Ayuk, Jones.
It was Bateman for me, or Ayuk for me. Excuse me.
Did I miss it? No, we didn't miss anything, Ashton. Sorry, we're just we're behind. Ashton, you should know. You should know. We're behind, buddy. If we didn't miss it, I think I got both of yours, Ashton. But if we missed something, let me know. Uzi wants to know: should I trade Michael Carter, Gronk, Callaway for? Is this supposed to be Pittman?
Yeah.
Or yes, right. Hurry up right now.
Which one?
I don't care.
I think I would go Keenan Allen. I think he's just a little safer. I still love Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
Love Michael Pittman. But I think Keenan Allen's a little bit safer of just consistent targets and everything like this. So I would just slightly lean towards Keenan Allen, but yes, I would definitely make that move.
Yes, I prefer Keenan, but if whatever reason that falls through, Pittman is 100% a great return on that package as well. Really well done there. Elver G, Diggs, Mike Will, T. Hill, A.J. Brown, Dearness Johnson, pick 3.
Tyreek, A.J. Brown,
Diggs.
and Diggs.
If Nick Chubb... that would have no effect over... something's been happening a lot the past couple of weeks. Rest of season, Mixon or Cook in a half PPR.
Oh, Dalvin Cook.
Yes, this is Cook, as long as obviously nothing crazy happens. But yeah, it's Cook. Mixon, just for whatever reason, Samaje P. Ryan and Chris Evans are coming in and taking away targets and routes. It just doesn't. It makes no sense. It's just super frustrating with him. But he's healthy. Outside of the target, he's getting the workload. So let's be thankful of that. But it is Dalvin Cook. Kells 22, Freeman or Gibson?
Antonio Gibson for me.
Yeah, Gibson 4 for me as well. Antonio Brown joining us. AB, drop Nyheim Hines for Kadarius Toney.
Oh yeah, I'd do that.
Me as well. Schultz or Conklin?
This is Schultz.
Schultz for me as well. There was an offer for my Zeke and Terry for his Jacobs and DK, but I can't do the drop at running back.
Yeah, that's pretty significant in terms of the drop, right? Like you could almost make a case that Jacobs and DK for Zeke would be, the trade. It's just I've talked about this before. I don't like trading running backs, especially high end running backs, without getting, something that I feel solid about, because you trade a running back and almost inevitably it seems like you get injuries and it just doesn't work out. And so, I think that's too much to be trading. I would rather have the Zeke and Terry side.
Yeah. Kittle or Pitts from Yeet Tit?
Kittle for this week. But, man, I would look to trade either one, but I preferably probably George Kittle, especially coming off the big week he just came off of. So it's just unless you're going to start both of them, which I think is definitely an option. You can start both of them depending on what the rest of your team looks like. But if not, I would just look to move one of them.
Yeah, I thought Lamar's rushing line would be around there. While Lito is on that as well. Hollywood, Waddle, and Andrews receiving yards. And Lamar's rushing yards. I haven't fully looked into Lamar's yards and Miami's D and all that, but like not that even necessarily. No, you can look at what the Dolphins have given up to other quarterbacks this year and base that off of Lamar, but that's just one that like I was probably leaning toward, but I haven't fully dove into. Moving on to the chosen rows. Manny, Renfro, Kirk, Judy, Gage. We need 2. I'm going to go Judy and Renfro.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Judy and Renfro.
Woo!
It's really close between him and Sanders for me.
Is Kirk was he in the thought process at all, or is he distant from Sanders?
I don't have him as a. Let's see, where do I have Kirk? So I have Kirk at 38. So it's not really that. I mean, it's not that far because I have Renfro at 29 and Manny at 30.
Okay.
So
itty bitty South City. Carr, McLaurin, Bateman, Agnew, DPJ, Elijah Moore, Mooney, Kamara Harris, Connor, Darrell Williams, Collins, Wilson, Logan Thomas. Okay, 2 wide receivers. Let's start there. McLaurin, Bateman, Agnew, DPJ, Elijah Mooney.
Mooney doesn't matter. He's on bye. So McLaurin for sure. And then I'm going Bateman.
Yep. Running backs, Kamara, Harris starting
Top
there.
2. Yep.
2 flex.
Connor.
Darrell Williams. If
as
Clyde
long as
plays,
CEH is out or doesn't play. If CEH plays, I would go Connor. I think I would go Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Just swinging for upside. Yeah, I don't mind it. There you go, itty bitty. Najee, DK, Gronk, Zeke, Terry, Hawk.
The Najee side.
Yeah. Najee side for me as well. Rock out. Apologies for just seeing this. TJ Hogginson or Freiermuth full PPR rest of season.
This is Hogginson for me. I mean, I like Freiermuth a lot, but it's still TJ Hogginson. The man sees just a ridiculous amount of targets. And actually, not that anybody cares about my own fantasy teams, but in my home league, I just traded for TJ Hogginson. Actually, I traded. Actually, let me know what you think of this. I traded Travis Etienne, which I know people are like, why you trade him? It's a keeper league. So he's going to be probably the guy's keeper next year. So I traded Travis Etienne, Rondell Moore, and Mike Gesicki. And I got Jerry Jeudy and TJ Hockenson. So clearly for this year, I won. I mean, because I traded Etienne, who I wasn't going to be able to keep anyways. And I got Jerry Jeudy, a solid wide receiver 3. But really, and then I traded Gesicki basically for Hockenson. So
right,
just because I feel like with I love Gesicki and he has been awesome this year, and obviously he's on the slightly better offense. But I feel like once some of these guys start coming back, like Will Fuller, Devontae Parker's going to return, I just think some of the opportunities is going to drop for him, which I don't have to worry about that with Hockenson.
Yeah, I mean, we already saw it, right? The 1 week that Parker came back and was healthy, I think Gesicki only saw 4 targets. So I like that. You pushing for the ship?
Oh yeah, every year.
You already know. No, not at all. You're not giving up enough. Honestly, I mean, Callaway is whatever. He's literally he could be on waivers. To be completely honest, we love Michael Carter, but we
Callaway,
can't count.
Callaway reminds me of this year. Keelan Cole from last year. Like Keelan Cole had those weeks where he, was very fantasy relevant, but like he never was like a boom guy, even though like he was like a wide receiver 3, but he never was a guy that you just like felt great about starting. You put him in there, and he could put up, a decent week. But that's who he really reminds me of this year.
Any chance for you to bring up Keelan Cole? Jake wants to know, start Devonta Freeman or Devin Singletary full PPR.
You already know what I'm gonna say. If Zach Moss is out, give me Devin Singletary or single carry. I like that too.
That might be all that he sees. I'm gonna go Devonta Freeman regardless. Man, the front lines of how many episodes did we do? 2, I think.
Yeah, we didn't do very many. It didn't do that well, and so we were just like, but they were fun to do. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so did I, and it was definitely a learning experience for me as well because I had no military ties. It was hard to do that on top of everything else as well. I think Tim from Dynasty Happy Hour is doing something similar now. He stepped away from Dynasty. So I don't know if it's all military and fantasy related, but he's definitely doing something military related. I feel so bad I'm forgetting his last name now. Like if I remember it, Walito, I'll let you know. But
he stole our idea.
Or Ertz over Gronk. Najee DK or Ertz instead of Gronk. Zach Terry Hawk. Obviously, it's not gonna. Who would you prefer, Gronk or Ertz, for the Najee side? Because we already said Najee side, so that's not going to change anything. But if Zach has his pick,
yeah, that hurts. But I just hope that if you have the Najee side, we're not making the trade, okay? But if you don't, and you have the Zeke side, then yeah, I would go after Ertz.
Joe out here flexing on everybody. Too many good running backs. Henderson or Connor this week, or
that is really close,
crazy.
But it is still. I'm gonna play Darrell Henderson just slightly over Connor.
Yeah, and you're not benching CMC to start both those guys.
Absolutely not.
Don't gotta be that crazy, Joe. We already answered this, Ashton.
You must have left. You must have left and turned us off because we answered your question already.
We
tried to throw us on Front Street and act like we didn't answer your question.
Front Street. Is that a saying?
I think we went like on. I think I even went on like a whole almost not a rant, but like a whole conversation about this whole thing.
Yeah, actually, we just didn't throw your question up because TN came through with a $20 super hauler, so that's why we didn't throw it up. But we absolutely went over this. Let's recap. Basically, what we said was no, unless you were getting a Pittman Henderson package back at for Tyreek. But if you're going all the way down to like a Jerry Jeudy type of wide receiver with a Henderson type of running back, not doing that. So you're just kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah,
I know that one, but to throw out on Front Street, is that the same thing as throw under the bus? I'm assuming. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ashton, I can't believe you. After all we've been through. Austin rocking with us. AK got offered CMC for Kamara and Kirk in a full PPR. I get McCaffrey.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Kirk is a very easy pill to swallow as a side piece to sending away Kamara.
And Kamara might be a guy that we talked about in the buy sell video. So,
which side you'll have to tune in to see. Yes, let's get that dub this week. Appreciate you, Itty Bitty, for joining us. Yeah, Hawk was a little banged up as well. Defense was starting to key in on him too. So Hawk should be fine rest of the season. Tony B trying to choose rest of the season quarterback. Hurts, Hill, Lance, Wilson.
Is that Russ Wilson? Assuming there's no way we're throwing Zach Wilson in the conversation.
I'm going Russ.
Yeah, if it's Russ, it's Russ. I would rank them Russ, Hurts.
Hill then Lance.
Really close between Hill and Lance. But I would probably go Lance over Hill. Just because I think he has so much better weapons.
Yeah. I just feel like Hill actually has a chance of starting. I could see Kyle Shanahan just like, even if they have no shot at anything, I could see Shanahan just being a stubborn little fuck and not playing Lance.
Let's be honest. Kyle Shanahan should be fired.
It's getting at that time. It really is too bad that we edited out the 5-minute rant, right before a lot of these, them losing to, last week was just the icing on the Shanahan shit cake. Ben Flash Traded A.J. Brown, Justin. Oh, my God. A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, and J-Rob. Got Jones, Diggs, Lamb.
I mean, you got an upgrade at running back, I think, with as much A.J. Dillon has been mixing in. But still, the Packers have the 7th easiest schedule moving forward for running backs. So I like acquiring Aaron Jones. You can make a case that you downgraded from A.J. Brown to Diggs and Justin Jefferson to CD. I think those are, and so because I love A.J. Brown rest of season. I think that, I think he's pretty close to a top 5 wide receiver rest of season.
Yeah. And
then Justin Jefferson's in that, 10, top 10 range. Where Diggs is still fine, but they've kind of like what we've talked about, teams have kind of moved to the Kansas City Chiefs strategy of play 2 safeties over the top and force you to feed the everything below, and so it's going to hurt Diggs' upside as well. And so I don't mind it. I think I think you're okay, but I think you lost the trade.
Yeah, it's close. And I don't think it's not obviously not an egregious loss either. Like if the Bills can, because there's also no way that we're gonna see Josh Allen have what I said on the show for the receiver show that we did. Over the last 3 games Josh Allen has played, he has a 7.4 ADOT, which ties him for like the mid to late 20s among quarterbacks during that same time period. Like, there's no way that we're going to see Josh Allen just be this dink and dunk kind of, low ADOT kind of quarterback. Like, that's just not going to happen. Daboll's going to have to do something to fix that, to try and fix that, where the Chiefs, have also struggled to try and fix that as well. But if Diggs can get back to being Diggs, that would make this a lot closer for me. It's not far off, but I do prefer the A.J. Brown side. But if Aaron Jones can start being Aaron Jones a little bit more, that'll help out as well. Kyle K, Freeman or Bateman? We're gonna go Bateman here.
Oh, I agree.
Karn, that is the absolute worst. Karn was hitting me up on Twitter. We were going back and forth trying to figure out trade offers. The guy said, hey, I'll take... Shit, I can't remember what... I think Karn... Yeah, that's right. Karn was giving up either Diggs or McLaurin to get Najee. Dude said he would take either of them. I said I would send either of them. Dude backs off. That is the absolute worst whenever someone's like, yeah, I'll do that. And then you send it, and they're like, well, actually, that went too quick. You must be pulling one over on me. That, it really chaps my ass. It really grinds my gears. Ashton watching a fucking movie instead of paying attention to the stream. That's what really chaps my ass. That annoys me worse than the rug pullers with these trade offers. Aqua, speaking of trades, Jefferson and Waller for Cup. Wait. Okay, sorry. Jefferson and Waller for Cup, or Jefferson and Smith for Cup? Assuming Devonta.
I'm not doing that.
You're not doing either trade?
Well, I think Jefferson and Smith, you could. I think that's. Okay. I think you consider
that's where I
that.
was.
But I'm not doing Justin Jefferson and Waller for Cup.
Yeah, Jefferson and Smith for me. Not doing Waller. RC Cola wants to know, why do we have no love for Kirk? 100.5 PPR points on the season. Wide receiver 22, 23. Why no love? Super inconsistent. You can't.
Yeah,
I mean, Brandon Cooks is wide receiver 18, half PPR, and it's the same reason. Has a couple of those weeks that are just really buoying his production, his total fantasy points. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, he's currently wide receiver 32 in fantasy points per game. I mean, this is kind of just, I mean, this is a season 24, 9.5, 17.4, 1.5, 10, 18.5, 15, 8.6, 16.4. So I think he's fine. I don't mind, trying to getting him in there for, a wide receiver 3 option. But, AJ Green should be back this week. D Hop possibly back this week. You get those guys back. It makes it really hard to trust these guys. They have so many weapons. Now with Ertz also mixed in. I mean, the running backs, it just makes it tough to trust on a weekly basis because it's such a spread out target share.
Yeah, his weekly finishes in half PPR 8, 50, 20, 111, 47, 16, 18, 54, 16. So that is why, Ronald, it's not that we don't have love. It's just, he is what he is. That's all.
Do you believe in life after love?
I really don't think.
All of a sudden, our view count
just either that we did lose one. Goddard or Knox for Kyle? Is Knox back?
I would go Dallas Goedert here. The amount of the insane amount of targets that are the target share that he's seen, I would go Dallas Goedert even over Dawson Knox, even if Dawson Knox is back. I like Dawson Knox, and believe me, I was team Dawson Knox, while others weren't. But Dawson Knox began practicing for Buffalo today, so yeah, he is. He did return to practice, so we'll see if he actually plays or not. But yeah.
B-Dubs needs 2 rest of season. Tony, Bateman, Ayuk.
Oh, man. I like all 3 of these guys.
I'm going to go Bateman and Ayuk.
Yeah, I think consistency-wise, yeah, I'm going to go Ayuk and Bateman. It is super close because I like Tony too, but
if you were to be able to tell me hey, Tony is going to be the only healthy wide receiver for the Giants, which is obviously well within the the range of possibilities there, I would probably bump down Bateman and I would go Tony and Ayuk, but without knowing that, obviously it's going to be Bateman and Ayuk. Would you flex Javonte, Eli, or Judy in a PPR?
Whew.
It would be really nice if Shanahan would use Eli Mitchell the way that he did last week and give him 4 or 5 targets a game. Eli Mitchell literally had more targets last week than he did in his other active games combined. And it's not like he saw 12 targets or, anything. He saw 5 fucking targets last week. And that was more than what he had the rest of the season combined. Anyway, how are we feeling here? Javonte's not in the mix. It's either Eli or Judy for me.
I'm going to go Elijah Mitchell.
Kyle, I would make this decision if you need upside. I'm going Judy. If you need safe points, I'm going Eli. Pittman or Marquise Brown?
Michael Pittman.
Yeah, it's close, but I'm going to lean Pittman there as well. Prescott or Stafford? 6-point touchdowns, 10-point bonus, and 300 passing yards.
I'm going Dak Prescott.
I'm going to go Matt Stafford. Both close for me. The matchups are close enough. With the 10-point bonus at 300 yards, I'm going to lean Stafford there in that case. Like Henderson has been playing well, but this is still a pass first offense. It's close though.
I mean, listen. The Cowboys have an absolutely ridiculous implied team total this week of 32, which is
that's bonkers.
The most on the slate of games this week.
That's crazy.
So, and the Falcons have 22.5. So 54.5 total, where the Rams and 49ers game only has a 49, which isn't bad. But I prefer the Dak side.
They're both really close. Like I said, I just think with that 300 yard, but like that 10-point bonus, like that's a lot. I just feel a little safer with Stafford to get there than Dak. Full PPR, one running back, one receiver, one flex here for Karn. Williams, Gaskin, Devonta Pittman, Ayuk.
So Pittman running wide receiver, Darrell Williams at running back, and Ayuk at flex.
Yahtzee. AK, thoughts on the Cook situation, Henry owner? Yeah, well, stashing Madison if he's available, smart.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I think Alexander Madison should already be on teams because Dalvin Cook has a propensity of getting hurt. But they already said today the NFL they're not going to suspend him, so nothing's going to happen this year, unless we get something crazy that comes out like a video or. Which we've had some little videos leaked, but it's not been anything like that would change anything. But yes, if we get some video of him beating somebody or something like then he's going to. But as of right now, we have no indication that something like that's going to happen. So when nothing else happens, he's not going anywhere, and Dalvin Cook is going to play all year.
So with this, would you look to benefit off of stashing Madison? Like, would you go to the Cook owner and be like, "Hey, I'll trade you Madison"? If other people unaware of that nugget that you just threw at the NFL is not going to suspend him this year, is that something you would look to do?
I think it depends on what you get, because we've already seen what happens if Dalvin Cook goes down and Alexander Madison plays. I mean, he has serious upside, and so you're also helping out, somebody else with that. But then again, it sounds like he just picked him up, and so it sounds like the guy that's out there. I don't know why, but regardless, I think you could. If you could, if you could trade Madison for Javonte Williams, would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised you thought about it that long. It would be, absolutely, I would. Yeah, for me, yeah. So I think if you could do something like that, sure. I think it's smart. I think it's a smart move.
ET wants to know, how do we like Dearness Johnson as a streaming option if Chubb doesn't play? Kev likes him. I'm a little bit lower on him because I think the Patriots just absolutely sell out to stop the run, because that's that's what they do. But I still especially if you were streaming at running back, you're not going to find a better option out there this week. So Dearness Johnson is especially in that context, completely fine. E.T., Penn State guy, coming through. Kelvion, would you trade DK for Zeke and Amari?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, give me the Zeke and Amari side for show. Our guy in my league land for Swift denied and told me I lowballed him and then proceeded to trade Swift for. Oh my god! Yikes! Yikes!
I mean, I like it. I mean, as you know, I like Antonio Gibson as a buy low, but I'm not trading Swift for Antonio Gibson.
Ashton, you're back in the good graces. Half PPR for Karn. Someone offered Devonta for Judy and AP. Team is Eckler, Barkley, Evans, Claypool, AB, Tony, Debo, A-Rob, Gronk, Knox. I'm pretty sure Karn has Devonta, so it would be getting Judy. AP really doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. If you can get Judy for Devonta Freeman, yeah, I'm about that live.
What if that's
Or is that
Devonta
Devonta Smith? Then no.
You prefer Devonta Smith over Judy?
It's really close. I think they're kind of a toss up to me.
Yeah. That's one of those moves I don't know that I would make because that's
But I will say this:
super.
Denver has like the 29th hardest fantasy playoff schedule for wide receivers.
I think Karn needs to stack wins now. Does that change your? Because obviously you went through all this information. Do you lean like if someone just needs to get a couple of wins like over the next like 2 to 3 weeks to make that push? Do you lean one over the other?
I would lean Devonta Smith.
Okay,
but it's really close.
Imagine having Russ that whole time and then dropping him. I have not seen anything on this, Kev. I don't know if you have or not.
Cliff Kingsbury said that they are day to day, and there's still a chance they could play this week. So nothing official, but it's only Wednesday. So real practice stuff that we look for is Thursday and Friday. So
Alejandra, Chubb and Shepard for Keenan and Gaskin.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah,
I mean, the Sterling Shepard part. I mean, with him being injured, but he's always so injured so damn often. But the Chubb part, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, getting the best player. Would you drop Miles Sanders for AJ Dillon? I can't do that.
No, because I mean, Miles Sanders sounds like he actually could be back next week.
Yeah,
he's also returning off IR next week.
And if the Eagles continue their recent trend of actually utilizing their running backs, Miles Sanders should be set up for a bounce back second half. TB has to drop 2 here. Jeff Wilson, Edmonds, Carson, Booker, or perhaps Dearness Johnson. Man.
So that's Jeff Wilson?
Yeah, Wilson for sure.
Yeah, you can drop Wilson. And I also think you can drop – I kind of feel like you can drop Devontae Booker too. Because Saquon is supposed to come back next week. And so once Saquon comes back, Devontae Booker is useless.
Yeah, but wouldn't Booker fall into that same thought for you as we were talking about Khalil Herbert earlier?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, is that Dearness Johnson?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not out of this group. You're not dropping Dearness Johnson for this week, not yet, anyway. Yeah, I guess out of there would be Booker because at least the other guys have.
Why do you have to drop 2? Let me ask that.
Maybe some guys coming off of IR or something. JK trying to trade away Kittle, Carson, and Dillon for Kelsey and Sanders. Which side do you like?
The Carson side.
So that quick.
Well, I mean, if Chris Carson's back and he's going to play with Russ, this offense, like, I mean, we know he has capability of being a top 15 running back. He's going to step right in and be the starter, right? Kittle and Kelsey, like, I prefer Kelsey, obviously, but it's not like a huge difference between the two. It's not like a huge gap. So you're not really falling off there. So that's kind of a wash a little bit. So then you're getting Carson and AJ Dillon for Miles Sanders. That's a huge win.
Dearness or Javonte this week? This is Javonte for me, regardless.
This is Dearness Johnson if Nick Chubb is out.
Yeah, Carl, it's close for us. Devonta probably gets the nod just by a smidge, but we both really like Judy as well. Austin, yes, we Kev especially likes Gibson as a buy low. Make sure that you are subbed to the channel, and you will see that dropping at some point tomorrow. Alejandro wants to know for this week, Gaskin or Waddle at the flex and a half PPR. This is going to be Waddle for me.
Yep.
Will we trade McLaurin for CPAT? Kev, you're talking about putting aside some bias and previous thought. Is this a move you would make? Yeah, outside of CMC, Karn has, I think, basically nothing at running back.
Yes, I would do that. I would do that trade.
Let's move on before Kev throws up live here on camera. Jeez Louise, 3-6, need help desperately. Welcome. Zeke, Connor, Fournette, Henderson. Which two? It's going to be Zeke and Henderson for me.
Yeah, it's Zeke and Henderson. I really wanted to say James Conner, but I have James Conner at 12, but I have Henderson at 10. So
yeah. Waddle, Eli, J-Rob, or Renfro at the flex.
I'm going James Robinson.
Me too. Knox or Gesicki?
Gesicki. Yeah, it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think his value is extremely low. And if anybody, whoever the Cook owner is, if they're worried at all that about Dalvin Cook and that maybe he's going to miss time, yeah, you might be able to pull it off. Even if you might have to throw in like another little piece. I'm not throwing a major thing in for that, but something. I think you can make that move. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's almost like we have people that are like peeking into the our show sheets. Thoughts on Javonte Williams moving forward? Aqua, this is another guy we talked about in our buy sell video, and he is on the buy side. So we do like him moving forward, even with Melvin Gordon in the fold. The Broncos have a pretty nice schedule as far as running backs go for the rest of the fantasy season. So we do like Javonte, and someone you should be able to buy on the cheap as well because of Melvin Gordon being as involved as he is. E.T., appreciate you coming through and always rocking with us. I think I hate Michigan more than I hate Ohio State. So I hope we can somehow pull this off. Couple more here for Jeez Louise, A.J. Brown, Lockett, Jefferson, Amari Cooper. So we can pick three here. Unless you want to put Connor in the flex.
A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson.
I'm going Cooper over Connor, I think.
And then I would go Connor.
There we go. Let's go. AK, let's go. Appreciate all you guys. Really thankful for all of you joining us. Cook owner, what could I trade my Madison for?
I don't think it's so at this point. I'm not a big fan of handcuffing, but at this point in the season where you're at now, I would not drop Alexander Madison. If you've had him for this long, you got him. I just don't think I could do it. Because I'm worried about any sort of suspension because of his propensity to get hurt. And I would cry if I traded Alexander Madison and next week or this weekend, Dalvin Cook's out 4 to 6 weeks. Like at this point, you got him. You've been holding them. I would continue to hold them. I hate it. I hate handcuffs, but at this point in the season where we're coming up on week 10, 4 or 5 weeks away from the fantasy playoffs, I'm holding Alexander Madison at this point.
Connor or Eli?
100% Connor.
Knox or Schultz?
Schultz.
What? Good for you, Geez Louise. That's how you stay on the P's and Q's. That should help. If that happened this week, that should help turn your season. Oh, trade. Geez Louise. Hopefully you got a good return. I don't hate trading him again. Buy sell video is coming out. I talked about selling Chase if you're in that kind of situation where you're 3-6. But hopefully you got the proper return. That is going to wrap it up for us. Any other questions, please either drop a comment in one of the already recorded YouTube videos. We'll answer that over there, or you can jump in the Discord. You can find one of the links for that in one of the other videos as well. I don't think I put it in this video yet. So check out the other videos. Discord is in there. Drop your questions in the YouTube comments or over there. If you're in a DFS, Kev will be going live on Thursday. We'll have the prop show this weekend as well. And we'll be going live on Sunday with any other information that comes out to help you out with any more start and sit questions you have. So until tomorrow, until the next time, have a great week, and we'll talk to you all soon.